So good stuff. Thank you so much for being here. I guess you kind of have to be, right? I mean, our world's on fire, and if Christian people, we don't do this, we don't get together, we will be massively lost. And it is tough right now in our world. And I just want to remind you, Christians, because I'm not talking to non-Christians at this moment, right? I can't tell you what to do. I am not telling you to follow the Bible. You don't have to. You don't have to if you don't want to. But Christ followers, I can tell you what to do based on biblical truth and biblical text. And so, and the reason why is because the reason why we're probably feeling as confused or mad or whatever is because we live in a country that is not Christian. It is secular, run by powerful people. And that's been the truth for quite some time, right? We never established a Christian country. Now, there's some things we did to help get things started based on biblical things, but we drifted a long ways away, and that happens when people in power want to stay in power, and it's just, that's the way it is. I want to remind you, Christians, that you are the only ones in the United States of America that has a king. And we don't even like him at times because he keeps telling us what to do. And that's what kings do. They can tell you what to do. They're the king. And we sang about that this morning as if, no big deal. Oh, the king is in the room. But when the king is in the room, we as his servants obey. And the king that we have, his way is the cross. His way is sacrifice. His way of love. I am to love my enemy. Good grief. No wonder we don't like our king. I'm to love our immigrants. How? No one, like what? In fact, I have to love my neighbor. And you don't even know my neighbor. Good grief. And so this is a hard thing. And I have Christian friends on both sides of the political world. Believe me. There's good, fine Christian people all over the place. But I would say that our job is to figure this out. Not politically. Jesus never even tried to do that. And he changed the world. In a short period of time, the secular government of Rome, within a short period of time, the emperor was a Christian. And it changed everything. So, we can do this. And I think we have to, right? We have the solution to what we're dealing with. Is going to be found in the church. That's heavy. That's a big deal, right? We got to figure that. That's what, like, okay, a lot of responsibility, and maybe I don't even want to do that, right? Maybe I don't want to. In Route 66, you know, we have lots of roadside attractions that we stop at all the time in Route 66, and one of the most famous roadside attractions is the blue whale of Catoosa. That's it. And this was built by a guy, Hugh Davis built this, and I'm not telling you don't follow his example here, but he built it for his wife as an anniversary gift. She liked little figurine whales, and he thought maybe she should have a very large blue one. Well, originally the pond and the whale was intended just for his family, but a lot of people in his town started sneaking in and swimming and doing stuff, and they liked it. And he thought this was great, and so he brought in a ton of sand, built picnic tables, and hired lifeguards, and opened it up to his town. Eventually, the family couldn't maintain it any longer, so they closed it to the public. And Hugh passed away 11 years after that, and his wife did as well. And the park fell into disrepair. After a decade, the town of Catoosa and the employees of the Hamilton Inn launched a fundraising campaign, and volunteers worked hard to restore the Blue Whale to its glory of the Route 66 era. The whale has been featured on the Food Network, American Pickers, Mercedes-Benz use it in a commercial, as well as Phillips 66. It's a good place to stop. So we will. We're going to stop at a big fish story today. You probably know this. Even if you're not a Christian, you probably have heard this story. It's a whale of a story. This is dad joke world, right? We're going to go there. So we stop at a port town named Joppa, a town where Jonah gets on a ship and he heads to Tarshish. Jonah chapter 1. The Lord gave this message to Jonah: get up. I love that. I like that. And I don't know if he was a millennial or not. It seems like it, maybe. Get up and go to the great city of Nineveh. Announce my judgment against it, because I have seen how wicked its people are. But Jonah got up and went in the opposite direction to get away from the Lord. Not to get away from the wicked people. He wanted to get away from God. Well, he didn't know where to go, so he came up with an idea. He went down to the port of Joppa, where he found a ship leaving for Tarshish. He probably thought, God ain't in Tarshish. He ain't going to find me there. That's Sin City. That's bad. He ain't going to show up there. I'm going to go there and hang out for a little while. So he bought a ticket and went on board, hoping to escape from the Lord. Do you notice the pattern here? That's a tough place to get to. But the Lord hurled a powerful wind over the sea, causing a violent storm that threatened to break the ship apart. Fearing for their lives, the desperate sailors shouted to their gods for help and threw the cargo overboard to lighten the ship. In a big storm, everybody gets religion. Notice that? These guys aren't even like they're praying to their gods their gods can't even help them, right? And they're praying to their God, right? And because like they're very afraid. So when you are afraid, you'll pray to whatever God you got. That's what they're doing. But at all this time, Jonah was sound asleep in the hold, so the captain went down after him. How can you sleep at a time like this? Get up. Once again with the get up. You're probably like, everybody tells me get up. Pray to your God. Maybe he will pay attention to us and spare our lives. Maybe your God can do this. Maybe your God can fix this. We don't even know who you are, right? But maybe your God can do this. So God has asked Jonah to do something. It's a big request. Go to Nineveh, preach against it. It is wicked. Go there and preach. Now that's I don't know. That doesn't sound real exciting. Like they probably won't even like it. They're probably going to throw stuff. They're probably not going to listen. I don't want to do it. And I'm not even good at this stuff. I'm not a good preacher. I'm not a good spokesperson. I don't even like these people, right? I picked you. And that's a great honor. Like that's a big honor. God picks him out. Here's what I want you to do. And the salvation of this great city. So God calls it a great city. But he also knows they've got serious problems. Go to this great city. In verse 3 says, but Jonah got up and went in the opposite direction to get away from the Lord. What? See, our heroes in the Bible, they don't always get it right. You would think that the moment God says to him, I want you to go preach in this great city, they're pretty rough people. They probably aren't, they're not very sophisticated. They're not very spiritual. Well, they're kind of spiritual, but they certainly don't do what I want them to do, and they're doing bad stuff. That he would go, here I am. I'm your man. I'm your guy. I can do this. Thank you. I was going to do it anyway, but he doesn't do that. He literally runs away from the responsibility, but then ultimately he's running away from God. Now, we're not told why. Maybe he is a little insecure. Maybe he's right. Like, I'm not a good preacher. I'm not a very good. I have trouble putting my thoughts together and saying the right things. Can you just choose a better person? I will give some money to help them, but I don't want to do it. I don't feel up to the task. Now, it might have been deeper than that. We don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like the people in that town. Maybe he doesn't like their lifestyle. Maybe he doesn't like what they're doing. And in his mind, they're godless, and they can just go to hell then. Like they're choosing to go. They're just choosing that. And that would be horrible. I don't know if that was his thought, but maybe he thought, I don't want to because they're bad people. So Jonah goes down and he spends some money of his own money, and he buys a ticket. Like he's going to buy a ticket with his own money to get away from God. Have you ever spent money to get away from God? Yeah, you have. I'm going to go do my own thing, spend my own money, do my own thing. Hey, and I'm getting away from God, my responsibilities, and my stuff for a while. I'm just going to do that. And he gets on a boat, and he's heading out. And it doesn't go so well on the boat. The weather's bad. The little boat is getting clobbered. And the little crew that was on that begin to be they're afraid that they're going to die. And with good reason. These guys aren't just like scaredy cats. They are very afraid that they're going to die. And they start praying to their gods who are not, they're just idols. And they're praying to a God who can't even hear them, but they're trying. They're at least trying. And then somebody has to go down and it's like, hey, there's a dude sleeping. Whoa, wake him up and have him pray to his God. And maybe his God will save us as well. Somehow they believe that this is somebody's fault. That whoever on the boat, this is somebody's fault. Somebody did something really bad, and we are paying the price for that. So they cast lots. I don't know what that looked like, if they're throwing dice or something probably. I kind of think of it like spin the bottle. Now, if you know what that is, okay. But, they spin a bottle and whoever it lands on, right? And so they spin the bottle and it lands on Jonah. And they all look at him like, what? You're the guy? And Jonah goes like, let's do best 2 out of 3 maybe. Let's just, I don't. And so it lands on him, and they say to him, what have you done? What have you done that made God so mad? And he has found out. So in verse 6 it says, the captain went down after him. How can you sleep at a time like this? Get up and pray to your God. Maybe he will pay attention and spare our lives. Then the crew cast lots to see which of them offended the gods and caused this terrible storm. When they did this, the lots identified Jonah as the culprit. And this is fascinating. Why has this awful storm come down on us? Who are you? They demanded. What is your line of work? Yeah, I'd rather not say. What country are you from? What's your nationality? Who are you? And the sea rages on, and it's getting worse. And he says, it's my fault. Throw me overboard. And they said no. They said no at first. No, we're not. We don't want to make your God even more mad. We're not going to tick him off. Just start paddling or something, but we're not throwing you over yet. And so they don't, but it gets bad, and so they finally relent, and they throw him overboard. And everything calms down. Everything calms down. And it's fascinating to me that all of a sudden, these non-believing guys pray to Jonah's God. Please don't take us out because we're throwing Jonah overboard. So in verse 15 it says, the sailors picked Jonah up and threw him into the raging sea, and the storm stopped at once. Sailors were awestruck by the Lord's great power, and they offered the Lord, a new God that they are now worshiping. They sacrificed to the new God, and they vowed to serve him. So the salvation of the people in the boat. Everything changes at this moment. It's fascinating to me. And no kidding, they're going to believe. Like, you throw the guy over and everything's calm. They're going, huh? Well, we've been worshiping the wrong guy. And Jonah had arranged, now the Lord had arranged for a great fish to swallow Jonah. and Jonah was inside the fish for 3 days. So it does calm down, and everybody breathes a sigh of relief, and Jonah's bobbing up there. He's kind of doing the backpack. I don't know. He's like, hey, you guys. You know, kind of like Lieutenant Dan, maybe. I don't know. He's bobbing up and down. This is great. And before the sailors can say, hey, get back in, buddy. Get back in. This is great. This is great. Come on back. A big fish swallows them. And they even get more religion at that moment. And I'm not sure how this happens. And I know sometimes we go, golly, could that have really happened? That a big fish swallows Jonah and he's in there for 3 days, right? And yet, I find this fascinating that Jesus thought it happened. Matthew 12:40 says, Jesus says, for as Jonah was in the belly of the great fish for 3 days and 3 nights, so will the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. So Jesus is making even the connection here between himself and Jonah. Jonah was in the deep for 3 days and 3 nights, and I will be as well. So he's really saying that happened. That did happen. I don't think that Jesus would have used that as an illustration if it didn't happen. I don't think he would have just said, hey, remember that fun story we used to tell when we were little about the big fish and swallowing Jonah? It's not a fairy tale. Now, recently we found this is a fascinating video of a guy who actually gets swallowed by a big fish.
Sí, yo pensé que me había comido ya y que me había tragado, pero claro, yo sentía que quizás era una orca, habíamos estado hablando de orcas poco antes, entonces tenía eso en la cabeza. Y cuando salí y empecé a flotar, ahí sentí el miedo de verdad de que también le fuese a pasar algo a mi papá, de que no hubiésemos llegado a tiempo a la orilla y me fuese a dar hipotermia.
Tranquilo, vamos.
I don't know who the dude was filming, like, what? That's crazy. I don't know if it was a GoPro. I don't know what was going on. But this guy gets swallowed by a big fish. He gets spit out. And that's crazy stuff. So Jonah prayed in chapter 2, verse 1 says, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from inside the fish. So I think the fish swallowed him, and I do think that Jonah prayed. I really do believe that he prayed from the belly of the fish. And that makes sense to me. We do know that the Lord answered his prayer, and the giant fish eventually spits him out, and that's crazy, right? Jonah chapter 2, verse 2 says, I cried out to the Lord in my great trouble, and he answered me. I called to you from the land of the dead, and you heard me. You threw me into the ocean depths, and I sank down to the heart of the sea, and the mighty waters engulfed me, and I was buried beneath your wild and stormy waves. So that was his prayer. Now, the Lord still needs Jonah to do stuff. I suppose Jonah might have thought, well, thank you, Lord, for saving my life. But he probably also thought, I don't think I'm qualified anymore to do anything. He ain't going to use me. Why would he use me? Like, I literally ran away from him. But God says to Jonah, I still need you to go there. You want, what? I still need you to go to that great city and preach. Like what? Oftentimes when we have run from God and we've messed up, we think we've messed up so bad that God will never use us. Like he will never call us into ministry anymore. Like I've done it. And certainly we all have moments where we have run from God and done some bad things and think we've disqualified ourselves from ministry. It is amazing to me that God could use me. Like he would use me. I just didn't think he would. After all, why would he? Now, we are called to share Christ and build believers, and that's what our choice is, and he's asked us to do those things. My guess is you've had moments like Jonah where we've run away from God. Our pastor has asked us to do something. Now, let me preface this. There are moments when pastors are desperate, and they'll ask anybody to do anything. Like they see you, and that's why a lot of you won't make eye contact with me. You won't make eye contact with Becky or Christy. You ain't going to make contact with Mitt. You ain't just going to make it because you know that if you make eye contact, they might go, hey. And you're going, what? It's okay. Right? Because you know they're going to say, hey, we're looking for somebody for the 4-year-old room. I'm going to go get on a boat. I'm going to go join another church. I'm going to go away from here. I'm moving. Right? Right? Now, again, sometimes we're desperate. But also sometimes we ask because we see something in you that we know that if you would use your gifts and talents and abilities, it would push the ball down so far. You can do this stuff. And really, truly, when we look in your lives and we get that prompting from the Lord that says you should ask them, that is a real thing. And don't discount that. I remember guys speaking into my life when I was in high school, and I thought, sure. No, thank you. And I spent money to get away from that. And I thought, I did spend money. I went to the University of Nebraska and spent money. I ain't doing that stuff. You can't make me do those things. A year later, I thought, well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to do something. Let me ask you a tough question. What is the path you almost took? Our decision to walk away from the calling can be devastating. Jonah's decision affected more than just him. The guys in the boat suffered the ramifications of Jonah's choices. Our choices are not just for our own. A decision to run from God affects others. Sometimes we have Jonah moments where we just don't want to do what God has asked us to do. A couple years ago, I was at an art show in Crawford, Nebraska, and I was trying to sell some art. And there's a bunch of artists there, really great people, really talented stuff. And the guy next to me was from North Platte, Nebraska, and he's an art teacher, and his stuff was just gorgeous. And we talked and stuff. He also sold freeze-dried Skittles, which I hate to tell you that, but he sold more Skittles than I sold photos, that's for sure. He did, Skittle thing went very well. But we talked, and he found out, we talk about, like, what do you do for a living? I'm a art teacher in a private school in North Platte, and I'm a cross-country guy and all this stuff. Anyway, what do you do? I'm a pastor. Oh, hey, what kind of church? And so we talked, and he says, well, my dad goes to a church in North Platte, and they're really struggling. And they're probably going to sell. And I said, oh, whoa. Don't do that. Don't tell them not to do that. Not yet. Don't do that yet. And he said, well, my dad's here for the art show. Like, what? Tell him to get over here. So we sat down and we talked for quite some time. I didn't sell any art to him. But we started talking, and come to find out that he was part of the First Christian Church in North Platte, Nebraska. And he loves his town. But they've kind of gone through a rough go. And they are up next to nothing. And so we started talking, and I thought nothing's going to happen. I really thought that. I thought, because we've talked to other churches as well in the same spot, and I thought, well, that ain't going to happen. And it's in North Platte. And that ain't going to happen. I don't even want to go to North Platte. So, I don't know, 6 months later, hey, could you guys help us with some stuff? Like, okay. So we sent a group of people out there that are our tech guys, and they wired up some stuff so that they could show our messages out there occasionally. They didn't want to do it full time. Just like, okay, every so often. All right. And so if you want our help, we'll help, and that kind of stuff. Well, we've had a really good relationship with them, and they made a massively courageous decision last weekend to join the Stonebridge family. And so we're going to have a Stonebridge North Platte. Yeah. And it's so encouraging. And it's a great city. It's a great city. It is strategically located in our state. It's 4 hours from here, 4 hours from the mountains, and it is the hub of UP. And you know, it's Wild West stuff, but it is a great city. And again, you know, we're a multi-site church, and that just means that we're one church in several locations. And this is hard. I've had a lot of people ask me, hey, should we go multi-site? And I said, I don't know if you should go to multi-site. You know, because it's hard. Like, there's a lot of balls and a lot of juggling. And it would be way easier if we just said to North Platte, see you later. You know, but our elders are committed to, if people will, if they ask, we will go find a way. And so we know that we don't know exactly what will happen here from here on out, except for the fact that we will hopefully launch in December. And so if you know people in North Platte, or live within an hour of North Platte, or 4 hours of North Platte, and you would like to be a part of a launch team and part of helping us get going, and you want to support and encourage and that kind of stuff. It's been amazing. Last weekend, I mentioned this at the first service, that they were voting. And after the service, a family came up and says, hey, we live in North Platte. Huh, that's weird. Maybe you're supposed to be part of a new church. Anyway, stuff like that's been happening quite a bit, and we're excited about that. So a decision to run from God will affect others. And what if we could be part of a salvation of our best friend, or our spouse, or our children, or our neighborhood, or a city 4 hours away from here? Some of you might be in the belly of a fish right now. You ran from God, and you want out. Okay? You ran from God, you want out. You had heard from God, but you decided to go in a different direction. And you're in the belly of a fish right now, and you're kind of like, I need out. And I need to pray to God. And you don't have to live like that anymore. And He will wash you clean and set you on a path and give you purpose and hope. He really will. You're not so far gone that He can't hear you. If He can hear the guy in the whale at the bottom of the ocean, He can hear you. So I want to close with the prayer of Jonah. So if you would stand and join me, we'll pray. I'll pray this, and we'll be done. Yet you pulled me up from that grave alive. Oh God, my God. When my life was slipping away, I remembered God. And my prayer got through to you and made it all the way to your holy temple. I'm worshiping you, calling out in thanksgiving. And I'll do whatever I promise I'd do. Oof. Salvation belongs to God. All right. Have a great day. We'll see you next weekend.